Right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me for another one of these webinars. Just going to start off with a little bit about me. A lot of you will already know quite a lot about me, but yeah, for those that don't, I'm a Norfolk-based naturopathic nutritionist, and I see people with a wide range of issues. If you're not sure what a naturopathic nutritionist is, I did the first webinar I did was about this and how I work. So, take a little look back at that. It's on the blog section of my website, and that will just give you a little bit more information about what I do. So last month we talked about naturopathic techniques. Again, this is in the blog section of my website, or the QR code there will take you to the recording if you missed it and would like to find out a bit more about that. And then the one before that was naturopathic nutrition, what it's all about. And again, that QR code will take you to a recording. So just a little bit of a recap. Being taught in a naturopathic way means that I am following certain principles, and a full naturopath, this is how they will have been completely taught. So we're looking at using the healing power of nature. Everything we do, we want to be as natural as possible. Obviously, we do accept that there is a time and a place for more conventional things. It's not totally out of the question that this is considered, but we are always striving for that more natural approach. A really big one is identifying and treating the cause. This is often massively overlooked, and I see a lot of people who have been through the normal system. They just aren't getting they aren't getting the answers to their questions. They aren't getting that symptom relief. They may have had symptom relief for a small amount of time, but it's not actually fixing what the problem is. And so it just continues. We're not actually curing anything in that way. We're just sort of masking it or treating the symptoms. So, obviously when people come to me, symptom relief is one of my number one goals. But, it is really trying to look behind that and really ascertain what's going on, what has led to this, how can we fix it? Do no harm, obviously, that's a given. And doctor as teacher, that's really, I've said this before, but that's really what all of this is about, is that, we as using a naturopathic technique really want to give people the skills, to continue to help themselves, to understand what's going on with their health, to really put that health back into their own hands. We live in a time, I have this all the time, we live in a time where there is so much information out there, and it's amazing, it is incredible, but also it's massively overwhelming, and people, not only is it overwhelming, but there's a lot of conflicting evidence out there on certain things, and one person will say this, one person will say the complete opposite, and that is overwhelming, and people just, are struggling to find, even in this sea of information, it's really having that focus and having someone really guide them through, and that's one of my main reasons for doing this. Treating the whole person, again, this is a real different approach to what sort of conventional medicine would take, rather than honing in on the area that symptom is presenting. It's really taking into account what is going on with the whole of someone, what's their whole body, and even their mind, what's going on up there, what's led to where they are now, what even is their family sort of history of illnesses and stuff. It's really taking a huge approach to finding out what's going on and why this has happened. And then of course we've got prevention, living that better life, basically, and really putting those things in place so that we don't get to a point where we have some serious or chronic illness. That's really, really is key. So, this is what we were talking about before, and I just want to reiterate it, that, naturopathy is centered around the belief that the body needs to be able to rid itself of toxins and effectively throw them off. And to do this in the most efficient and safe way, the body's elimination pathways must be clear and or working optimally. And these elimination pathways are our skin, our lungs, our liver, our kidneys. Bowel is an obvious one, and your womb in women. So for example, the best way to sort of describe this is if you have any constipation, that is an instant blockage in one of the main routes of elimination, and that is going to cause a lot of problems. So it's just really making sure that these areas are, flow. We've got no stagnation, things are flowing, all of, the sort of toxins and stuff can come out. So within naturopathic nutrition, we consider many aspects to aid in a healing process. We are, again, like I said, utilizing natural healing principles, and we really are aiming to get to the root cause. And within this, we're using these natural healing methods. So we're looking at, we all know this, unprocessed natural foods, wild fish, filtered water. If you're eating meat, you want it to be the best quality, grass-fed, free range, organic where you can. I appreciate it's more expensive, but just trying to add in a few bits here and there, going for seasonal and local stuff. And I am a firm believer, even though this is, food is amazing, we do need supplements. Like, we're not getting the nutrients that supposedly should be in our food nowadays, just because of over farming, and things aren't as good quality as they used to be. That's just where we're at. So again, naturopathic techniques, which we talked more about, go back and have a look if you want to have a little bit more information about this. But we're looking at castor oil packs, skin brushing, saunas, keeping our body to helping our body to detoxify in the best way, Epsom salt baths, and linseed tea. So tonight we're just going to be looking at these essential nutrients for your immune system. I'm sure this is something that we could all use more information on. It's vital stuff. And, just sort of seeing you through those winter months, which, I think we're sort of coming out of now. We've had some glorious weather. But yeah, just one of those things to have as a bit of a toolkit, So your immune system is a complex network that protects your body from harmful invaders. Think of your immune system as an incredible defense network protecting your body from harmful invaders like bacteria and viruses. It's composed of various cells, tissues, and organs that work in harmony to keep you healthy. So within our immune system, we have our white blood cells. Think of these as your frontline soldiers. We have our lymphatic system. We talked more about this in the naturopathic techniques webinar. Really important system. This is, it's called the drainage system. It really is important for getting everything moving, getting out all those toxins, and it doesn't have a pump. So think about your blood, your circulatory system. You've got your heart there pumping it all around, keeping it moving. With the lymphatic system, it's the same principle, but there is no pump. So, helping it along with things like skin brushing and rebounding can be really helpful. We've got our bone marrow. This is the production house of immune cells. And then our thymus and spleen, which are classed as the training centers and defense hubs. So the gut is, gut health information has come on so much, just even in the last 10 years. It's constantly changing. We're constantly learning so much more about it. It's an incredibly interesting field. And just this little fact that there's around 80% of your immune system in your gut. So if you've got any gut issues, and you may not even know you've got gut issues, but if you've had multiple antibiotic use in your lifetime, you've ever had food poisoning, you know, these are sort of signs that there's something going on in your gut, or that your gut has been compromised. And you know, if you're a person that's constantly getting ill, you know, we have to consider what is going on in your gut. You know, and I really always quote this saying from Hippocrates. You know, this is what they knew about then. And he said, all disease begins in the gut. You know, so if they knew it then, I feel like we're so behind in this. You know, it's madness, really. But they knew it then, and we're only just catching up. We're only just understanding, you know, the real importance of it. So this area, known as the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, or GALT, plays a crucial role in regulating immune responses. A healthy gut supports a strong immune system, while an imbalanced gut microbiome can lead to immune dysfunction and increased susceptibility to illness. So we really do have to take that on board. To boost your immune system, it's essential to embrace a holistic approach that includes a balanced diet, regular exercise, stress management, adequate sleep, and good hydration. So we're just going to have a look into these things now. So proper hydration is vital. I mean, it's vital for so many things, you know, and I really do keep banging on about this, but it is vital for maintaining mucous membrane health and supporting all physiological processes, including your immune responses. So you want to drink plenty of water, ideally filtered. You know, it really is important. I know that we are lucky to have clean water, but it is full of chemicals. You know, it isn't as good as it should be. So I would recommend it. It's one thing you can do. It's a small change. You know, you want to include hydrating foods in your diet as well. And another thing that I often recommend is considering using electrolytes. You know, you can get, these are a bit of a buzzword, you know, and you could easily get fooled into sort of buying these powders and stuff, which, you know, they've got artificial whatever in, and sugars and God knows what else. A proper electrolyte is basically just salty water. It's a mixture of different minerals, and it just tastes like salt basically, but you know you're getting those specific minerals, and it really does help you to hydrate better. And if anyone wants any recommendations, just send me an email. So alongside this, you really do want to be reducing those diuretics, you know, and that's caffeine, alcohol, sugar, and stress. These increase the fluid loss from your body. Drinking herbal teas is another one, you know, just replacing that from your normal caffeinated drink. So this is a water filter that I've been recommending recently. It comes with a glass jug. It's refillable, which I think is fantastic. You know, and they do a 12-month supply for $61.50, and you know, I think it even lasts longer because you can tell when it needs changing, and they don't need changing as much as as they say they do. So regular exercise boosts circulation, supports immune function, and reduces inflammation. Engaging in a mix of aerobic activities, strength training, and flexibility exercises like yoga and Pilates. Chronic stress can weaken the immune system and increase your susceptibility to illness, something we really do have to take on board. You know, I think stress is a funny one, really. You know, we hear all these things, we know, well, we're starting to understand the impact this can have on our health. But sometimes it just goes in one ear out the other, because at the end of the day, if you are stressed because of financial worries or, you know, relationship things, you know, it's all well and good someone saying this is going to impact your health, but there's not necessarily anything you can do about it. So what I would say with stress is, yeah, it's easier said than done to get rid of it, especially even if you know what the actual root of it is. But I would say that there are things you can, supplement and sort of flower essences and things like this that we can take and help to help our body to more manage that stress in a better way, so that we're not putting so much of a burden on our bodies from this stress response. So, stress reduction techniques incorporate mindfulness, meditation, relaxation techniques. Like I said, consider those stress supplements and tinctures. And it's doing things that make you relax. You don't have to engage in meditation if it's going to make you feel stressed, or yoga, or you don't have to love these things. Do what makes you relax. That's what this is about. It could be cleaning, it could be having a bath, reading a book. Do what works for you. So looking at sleep now, adequate sleep is essential for production of immune cells and overall immune function. Some tips here: we want to be looking for aiming at 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. That means not waking up all the time, being able to get to sleep fairly quickly. I think the best way to do this is maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. Really looking at limiting your screen time before bed, not taking your phone to bed with you and scrolling, because that blue light is really having an impact on your melatonin levels, and it's really going to impact how well you sleep. If you really do have sleep problems, there are supplements and tinctures and stuff like that you can try, and some of them are very effective. Epsom salt baths before bed, they can be very good, relaxing. So now we're just going to have a look at the key nutrients that play a vital role in supporting your immune system and how you can incorporate them into your diet. So well-known one is vitamin C. I've said this many times. People will start getting sick of me saying this, but we and guinea pigs, I think, are the only mammals that don't produce our own vitamin C. We have to get it from other sources. And I think this is in evolutionary terms because way back when we would have just been eating a lot of berries, which would have contained vitamin C. So we wouldn't have need to produce our own, but maybe it's a design flaw, I don't know, but we don't produce it, so we do need to get it from so not only do we not produce it, but we can't store it either. So if you are consuming vitamin C, I would go for powdered forms, which you can put in a drink and consume throughout the day, or you're looking at time release vitamin C, which you can buy, and that is seeped out, over a period of time. So vitamin C enhances the production of white blood cells and acts as a powerful antioxidant to protect cells from damage. So yeah, as I just said, we can't produce or store it. So especially over winter months, there's no upper limit. If you have too much, you'll know, because you can make your bowels loose. Although I've taken very high doses and never had a problem with this. So it depends on the person, really, I think, but it can be very, very effective. And it's also a little extra tidbit. If you have had a drink and you want to try and mitigate a hangover, having some vitamin C before you go to bed can be very effective. Like 1 to 2 grams in various pills. Because it's that antioxidant, it's really helping to detoxify your body from the alcohol. So yeah, like I said, vitamin C powder or a slow release supplement. Food sources, but like I said, unfortunately, we're just not getting, or our food just isn't containing as many nutrients as it once did. So, you know, especially, you know, oranges and stuff, you're just not getting the vitamin C in there in high enough doses to really justify. But, you know, if it's just maintenance, by all means, you know, eat vitamin C rich foods. But if you want to really mitigate an illness, then I would supplement. So vitamin D, you know, hugely important for our immune system, amongst other things. You know, it's massively important for, you know, people who maybe are depressed. You know, obviously there are other things that might be going on there, but it can really have an impact. It supports the pathogen fighting effects of immune cells and helps regulate the immune response. You know, I would really recommend testing this. And there's a link later on for the one that I would recommend. And it's like $34.95 and you get a free supplement. You know, it's not a great deal of money. And, you know, I really would recommend it. It's, you know, then you know how much to take. And if you do your test and you want to have me look over the result and offer my opinion on how much you should be taking, please do email me. That's absolutely fine. You know, I mean, I think everyone should be supplementing over the winter months. We just don't get, I mean, we're not going out as much as we used to anyway into the sunlight. But we, you know, especially over the winter when it's cloudy, we're just not getting it. You know, it really is, it is needed. So sources, obviously sunlight is the main source, but, you know, again, you need to be getting that direct sunlight. Yes, if it's really hot, you don't want to be sitting out there. You want to be getting that early sunlight, you know, with and going out without sun cream on. You know, obviously you want to be sensible, but you're not going to get that vitamin D if you've got sunscreen on. That's just, you know, that's just a fact. We can also get a bit from fatty fish, you know, fortified dairy products, egg yolks. And, you know, mushrooms quite often, if they've been exposed to sunlight, they also have vitamin D. But, you know, again, these just aren't in huge amounts. Omega-3, you know, this is a really big anti-inflammatory. You know, they reduce inflammation, enhance the activity of immune cells. And again, you know, realistically nowadays, we are all very deficient in omega-3. We're just not getting the omega-3. And because it goes in a ratio with omega-6, so they're fighting for that place in the body. And you can, a lot of ultra-processed food and ultra-processed really bad oils and stuff, which unfortunately are in a lot of food, even seemingly healthy food like hummus and, you know, sort of vegetarian things that have been fried like falafels and things like this. You know, they are all containing omega-6 that is not from a very good source. And so that is balancing out that ratio, hugely imbalancing that ratio. And then if you have that and you couple with the not getting the omega-3s from your diet, which you can get some from seeds and nuts, whether or not that actually converts right down into the right things we need is debatable. If you want some more information on that, let me know. Really, you want to be getting it from fish oils. And the ones I recommend are Bare Biology, really good. Small fish, you're not getting, you know, you want the smaller fatty fish because the risk of mercury, but also it is very good quality, and you do not want to be, you know, a lot of people got put off of omega-3s because of the fishy burp. You shouldn't that, you know, that should not be happening, because that is a sign that the oil is rancid and you do not want to be consuming that. So yeah, good quality is so important. Yes, these things are expensive, but you know, this is your health, guys. So yeah, your fatty fish, wild salmon, mackerel, herring, sardines, anchovies. You know, like I said, it is available in nuts and seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, but it might not convert down properly into what we need it to. I know that sounds quite vague, but if you want some more information on that, it can get quite technical. Whereas with the fish has already converted it, so it, you know, we're getting it in that already converted state. We don't need to do anything. So, you know, yeah. Another really essential mineral is zinc. This is really crucial for immune cell development, wound healing, and DNA synthesis. And I thought this, I always say this, and I find this quite interesting, you know, in terms of immune health. One of the deficiency signs of zinc is not being able to taste or smell. And I thought that was very interesting that during the whole COVID stuff, you know, that was a really prominent and, you know, it still lingered afterwards. You know, I know lots of people who didn't get their taste back for a long time. You know, this was a really prominent symptom that a lot of people experience. And I just found that very interesting that, you know, this vital mineral for our immune system and our immune health may have been playing a big role in terms of, you know, susceptibility or, you know, how long you were ill for, etc. I mean, this is really important as well for anyone who is vegetarian or vegan, because, you know, the biggest sources of zinc is meat and shellfish. You know, we do get it in some nuts and seeds and whole grains, but, you know, therefore it is often lacking in a vegan diet. So, you know, I think with vegan and vegetarian, you know, most people just think, oh, you know, they just need B12, but I think there are a lot of things as well that are potentially lacking that you're not getting that do have an impact on your health. Selenium, this is another antioxidant. It's really vital for your thyroid. Again, this is often lacking in our food. It's an antioxidant and supports immune cell production and function. And here are some food sources. Magnesium, another mineral. I mean, magnesium is, again, often very, a lot of people are very deficient. You know, it's not just for immune health, it is for so many things. I think they say it's over 300 enzymatic, you know, different things going on in your body. You know, there's so many things that it contributes to. If you ever get restless legs or really bad cramping or twitching or I mean, even sometimes your hair falling out and, you know, female hair loss and stuff like that can be attributed to magnesium deficiency. I myself, I have to take this every day. I know that I really do. My body has a really big need for it. You know, I really do feel it if I don't take it. It supports immune cell function and helps the production of antibodies. Again, you know, there are quite a few food sources, but, you know, like with anything, and I've just been saying, you know, our vegetables are depleted, the soil is depleted. If these minerals aren't in the soil, then they're not going to be in the vegetables. You know, simple as. There's no point saying it's in green leafy veg if it wasn't in the soil. And, you know, so I think if you are having symptoms, you know, it's a good thing to incorporate into your, you know, to supplement. So, you know, like I've just said, often deficient. I see a lot of people with, you know, deficiency symptoms of this. Yeah, it is highly recommended to supplement. Beta glucans, these are, you may or may not have heard of these. They advance the ability of immune cells to respond to threats and may help reduce inflammation. Here are some food sources, but they are also quite often available, you know, as a supplement or in immune sort of complexes. You know, they're quite often added into that because they are very beneficial. Garlic, you know, we all know that garlic has great benefits. You know, it's a really good antimicrobial, and it's really good for boosting your immune cell function. But, you know, often people don't like to eat a lot of garlic. I love it, but, you know, if you love it, then everyone knows about it. So, you know, you can take supplements, you can take ones that are low odor. You know, it is a beneficial thing. But yeah, I mean, I think this is something that people should be incorporating into their food, and, you know, also raw if possible. Echinacea, you know, this is a herb that's often used to boost immune function, and, you know, it's said to shorten the duration of colds. You can get these in teas, you know, there are supplements, or, you know, quite often seen in a tincture form. Elderberries, you know, this is really fantastic thing, you know, really good for viral infections, really good for sore throats, very rich in antioxidant, you know, that real purple polyphenol, sort of anthocyanins, you know, really good for you. You can make syrups, you know, you can get sprays for your throat, or, you know, it comes in a supplement. Oregano, this contains antioxidants and compounds with, you know, this is a really big antimicrobial, but you really do need to be careful, especially with the oil. You know, it's very potent, and if you just took that in your mouth, it would burn. It's not good. So, you know, you do have to be really careful with that, and it is a very strong antimicrobial, and, you know, back in the day, we just all sort of went in with these antimicrobials if there was any gut infections, or, you know, sort of gut parasites, or, you know, anything going on like that. And now they're a bit more hesitant, because, you know, they've realized that these strong antimicrobials can have as much of an impact on your gut as antibiotics. You know, they're that strong, so they are good, they are helpful, but sometimes you do just need to just sort of be careful and not go in so hard. Yeah. Olive leaf, this is a real I really love this one. It's really unassuming, but it's got so many benefits. It's antiviral, anti-inflammatory, you know, so many things. Really good if you've got any herpes virus, really good for any immune things. Basically, it really does help. And there's no upper limit of olive leaf, so, you know, it's something that I would have in my cupboard, and if I feel like I'm getting ill, I just have that over the course of a day, you know, just regular intervals, and it really, you know, just sort of slowly helping your immune system to fend off whatever it is it needs to. And, you know, as there's no upper limit, you know, it's completely safe to use, and no detrimental side effects either. Coenzyme Q10, this is another one that is really crucial for energy production in cells. Declines with age. It's important to know, and has, you know, antioxidant properties that really support your immune health. And then we've got probiotics. You know, these really do support a healthy gut microbiome, and obviously we've already established that's really effective for your immune function. And I think, you know, even if you're eating probiotic foods, I was talking to someone about this today, it really is debatable, unfortunately, as to whether or not those foods and the probiotics that have been, you know, like kefir or sauerkraut, whether or not that is actually getting to your large intestine and surviving. You know, that's a long way to go. However, that's not to say that they aren't beneficial. They are hugely beneficial to your overall digestion. It's just that it is debatable as to whether or not those probiotics are making it all the way down into your microbiome. So, you know, I think that probiotics can still be very helpful in a supplement form. You know, a diverse gut microbiome supports immune health by influencing immune responses and maintaining a balanced gut environment. And that's what we want, really. That's the real point of this, is that there is bad stuff, there is good stuff in your gut, and that's normal. That's what we want. But it's when that balance gets tipped, and then we get our issues. So what would tip that balance? Something like a course of antibiotics could easily, you know, wipe out a lot of good bacteria and leave that space for those bad things to then thrive. So, you know, we really do want to be thinking about supporting ourselves. You know, if you're taking antibiotics, if you know you're going to have to take antibiotics, obviously if it's sort of thrust upon you, that's, you know, there's not much you can do. But if you know you're going to have to, you know, taking some probiotics on the run up, and when you're taking the antibiotics, you know, do it at different times, but you know, that can really help. You know, so yeah, consuming a variety of probiotic rich foods. You know, with supplements, you want to be looking for multi-strains. You know, always, as ever, ask me if you want any recommendations. And then, you know, the food forms, we all know this now. It's the live cultures, the kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, that sort of thing, fermented foods. So then also we want to be looking at increasing prebiotics, and, you know, it's very easy. So probiotics, they are the gut bacteria, as it were, and then prebiotics, they're what feed the good bacteria that's in your gut, and that is basically veg, you know, basically fruits, vegetables, fermented foods, stewed cooking apple. You know, this has a high level of pectin, it's very beneficial to your gut. And then just want to throw this one in, getting ill. This is really important for your immune system. You know, it really does strengthen from getting ill. Like I said before, if you're getting ill a lot, there may be things underlying that need to be sorted out. But also, if you never get ill, you know, it's a bit of a badge of honor, that, you know, for a lot of people. Oh, I haven't been ill for 20 years. For me, that would be a bit of a red flag, to be honest, because your body getting ill is a sign that it's getting rid of all the crap that it needs to. And if you're not doing that, then what, you know, it's not going anywhere. It's just stagnating. You're not flushing it out. You know, and also that the whole sort of sanitizing things, you know, this is not good for your gut health. It's not good for your immune system. You know, I'm not saying don't clean things, but, you know, we just have to be aware of this. We just, you know, we need to be exposed to things. It's really important to build our immune system. So like I said, you know, we see illness as a process of throwing off toxins, a way for your body to cleanse itself. And this is vitally important. You know, like I've said before, I appreciate this can be a hard concept to accept, but sometimes we do need to have a fever. We do need to have that mucus. We do need that cough. You know, when we have, obviously, you know, you have to be careful with fevers. And I'm not saying just leave a fever to run really high, but these are things that your body is doing to heal itself. You know, and so when we have that fever, when we have that mucus, and we then add in things that suppresses that, you know, how many people have seen that happen and then been ill for ages? You know, it's quite a common thing, that it just goes on and on and on, and they just can't get rid of this cough. You know, they can't get rid of this snot. You know, it's because they're suppressing it with these things. Sometimes we've just got to let these things run their course, you know, and really, we can support the body through this process, but it's often beneficial to just let it happen, you know, rather than loading up on that paracetamol and decongestants. Just saying. I think as well, you know, another side of this, and I, you know, certainly fall foul to this myself, is, you know, sometimes we're just too busy to be ill, you know, and it's really inconvenient. But, you know, it is something that we need to consider. So what would I take, you know, on a daily basis? You know, vitamin D I do take. Magnesium, as I said, I know that I need it. If I feel a cold coming on, I would up my dose of vitamin D. I would have vitamin C. you know, or it depends how ill I am, but you could take it every hour if you wanted. Zinc, I would have that. And, you know, like I said before, the olive leaf extract, you know, taking it intervals throughout the day. If you've got a sore throat, you can get throat sprays that have zinc and elderberry in. You can get things like myrrh tincture, which you can gargle, or propolis. Raw honey, you know, just having that straight up, or in a warm, you don't want it too hot because that is going to kill it. You know, and we really want to be looking for honey that specifically says it's raw, that hasn't been heated up, you know, because otherwise it is just basically sugar syrup. You know, we're not getting those antibacterial like benefits, basically. You know, and then lemon and ginger, really good for when you've got sore throat and colds. For a cough, you know, you can get Bronchostop. These are in most supermarkets. They also do throat sweets, and they're the sort of most natural, conventional things that I've seen that are easy to buy. You know, if you've got access to a health food shop, there'll be lots of other things. You know, Avogel do a lot of good stuff. Viridian do a lot of good stuff. You know, if you've got the snotty blocked nose, inhalations, you can get nasal sprays as well. So yeah, adding in, I've just put this slide in just for looking at natural antioxidants. You know, I really love this company. They do a lot of freeze dried berries, and it's really good way of getting those vitamins, you know, in your food, and antioxidants. This is another thing that I like, another really good antioxidant. Quite a random product, but, you know, look into it. There's a lot. They've done a lot of research into what it can help, and it is a lot of stuff. You know, it really is. It's a fantastic product. So I do have extra handouts on these, all the things mentioned. If you do want any to, you know, extend your knowledge, learn a bit more, you know, just let me know. Always happy to send those out to people. If you are interested in having your gut microbiome tested, you know, it is expensive. I'm not going to lie, I do say this to everyone, but it is very comprehensive and it does give you a really good indication. And I was actually thinking I might start doing some of these webinars sort of about sort of like case studies on people I've helped and things that then, you know, things that I've seen in clinic and things that people come to me with and what I would do. And you know, I recently had a woman who suffered from gut problems for a long time, and we went in with, you know, she really was the sort of person that needed to have that tested. And it, you know, we've had some really fantastic results because we really have honed in on exactly what is wrong with her, basically what is out of balance, what is what she needs to take. And yeah, she's just come on leaps and bounds. I'm so happy. Yeah, it's a really good success story. And I mean, she's not on the woods yet, but she's just had so much such a good turnaround. So, you know, yeah, I don't say that everyone needs this. I mean, if you're one of those people that want to know exactly what's going on, go for it. But you know, it's not always necessary. But if you have got gut issues and you have had them for a long time and nothing is working, sometimes it is just good to go in with this test and just see exactly what's going on. And on that note, I am doing a gut health event at the Space in Burston on the 3rd of May. If anyone is interested, it includes a delicious lunch prepared by me. Come and learn, you know, about ways to better your gut health, basically. So like I said earlier, vitamin D test, the best I found, well, the cheapest I found is from Better You, and they actually give you, you know, they don't just say, oh, it's fine, you know, they give you the actual result. Very easy paper, basically, and you send it back and they give you a free supplement. And I just think it's so worth it. It really is. And like I said, if you want to come to me with your results, I'm really happy to review them. So our next free webinar, which is in April, is about balancing blood sugar. That should be a really good one. It's vital for health, regardless of whether or not you've got blood sugar issues like diabetes or pre-diabetes. You know, it's one of those things that lots of people fall foul to, you know, up and down spikes of blood sugar, getting that afternoon slump, even feeling anxious and stuff like that can really be attributed to your blood sugar. So yeah, that should be a really fantastic one. So sign up to that if you would like to. Some events that are happening at the space. Sauna, you know, I was mentioning how good saunas were. They are doing this hopefully every month. Next one is 28th of March. And then we have our free events at the space. We've got the Friendship and Health Hub Monday ones. And the next one, we've got relaxation, hypnosis, that's a group session, a herb walk, reflexology, that will be mini tasters, and acupuncture, but you have to book. So head on over to the space website and in their event section if you want to sign up to any of that. And then now we also have the Saturday one. So if you're working, which most people are, they can't come along on a Monday. You know, the next one is on the 5th of April in the afternoon, evening. I'll be doing the food, and then we've also got insight healing sessions, nutrition taster sessions. That's not with me, that's with someone else, and then also a group yoga session. So again, if you need to book for that, use the QR code there or go to the Spaces event page. Also on the 5th of April, I am doing a new series of events called Lunch and Learn. Potentially once a month, not sure yet, but this one it's going to be about seaweed. So if you fancy learning about seaweed and eating some seaweed in food, and seeing some food demos and learning a little bit about stuff, yeah, sign up to that. Just send me a message. Okay, thank you everyone. You know, any questions, there's my email. You can also go to my website. Like I said, we've got all the recordings. This recording will go up there as well. Follow me on social media if you want to, if you're that way inclined. And then we've also got the Facebook group, Share the Health, if you fancy being part of that. Really hope you found this interesting and beneficial. And if you've got any questions at any point, yeah, just let me know, drop me an email, and I'm happy to answer questions at any point. Yeah, and I hope you will join me for the next one. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.